It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
Welcome on into the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan. Streaming online at 1069thefan.com, the 1069 The Fan mobile app, and as always, available on our podcast feed after the show. I'm Jason Walker, joined by J.D. Walker.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Filling in for Eric Franson today. Glad to have you on. You're doing the sunrise to sunset radio gauntlet here.
Yeah, when I tell people that I was born and I love this gig, I love doing radio, days like today kind of prove it. Was in here 5 a.m. with the KVNU morning show, KLZX throughout the day. Here with you on the Full Court Press, and then coming up 7 o'clock tonight over on KVNU, Stockton Jukes and myself get you ready as the Aggies take on the Bulldogs in Fresno. And we want the Aggies to win tonight and get out of Fresno quick. Because after like 10 o'clock in Fresno, nobody can guarantee your safety. So we want Coach Calhoun and everybody on the flight home. But, it's one of those days. But, missed hanging out with you guys here on the Full Court Press and got the opportunity to hang out with you today, Jason. So I'm happy to be here.
Like to have you on whenever we can. We know you're usually pretty busy. So glad to have a chance to fill in for Eric because I forgot where he told me he was going to be. He just... Every now and again, he's just gone for a day.
Ajay texted me and said he was on a SpaceX flight to Mars. So, last time it was Acapulco. I'm believing Ajay all the time now with the stuff he tells me.
I wouldn't trust the SpaceX flights these days. They have a lot of stuff that blows up.
Yeah, but I think they have a better success rate than say Boeing these days.
Yeah, that's true. And SpaceX won't shoot you if you're a whistleblower.
That's true, man. We're gonna get into some weird stuff today.
We're getting into politics.
Well, we'll do conspiracy theories. Did we land on the moon?
Yeah, we can go all in on that.
Yeah, okay. I worked for Coast to Coast AM and Art Bell for 5 years, man. I'm all about that shadow people and all this stuff. Yeah,
all the lizards and Illuminati and all that.
Oh yeah, the puppet masters and everything.
Just fun, crazy stuff. Yeah. Instead of all that, we're actually going to talk about Utah State basketball, a little bit of NBA, Utah Hockey Club, or maybe not Utah Hockey Club for long.
Oh, that's right.
The naming course. We're going to have Keith Schertz on. He's kind of our go-to hockey club guest. No disrespect to you, JD. I know you're our resident hockey expert. Keith Schertz, guy we bring in as much as possible. And I always love when we have Keith on with JD because then they just talk back and forth.
We nerd out for a little bit.
I just kind of get to sit in on a conversation, be like, here's a good hockey conversation. I'm just kind of here learning, trying to take it all in, trying to figure out where I can say something that doesn't sound immediately stupid, like what is a hockey puck? What is that thing that the guy with the big pads is standing in front of something? Is it the net? Was that what it's called?
Yeah, there's
what is that noise that plays after they score a goal?
Yeah, that's true.
A goal unit basket.
Why is there an octopus on the ice? And why were there nachos on the ice a couple of weeks ago?
Why are people throwing their hats on the ice?
Yeah, I was like, is it a square dance? Is it a hoedown? Are we doing something? What's going on?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know about you. I love my hats.
Yeah, I'd never throw my hat on the ice.
I mean, I've after 7 kids, the hair's raced from the top of my head to my beard. So hats are the way I keep everybody here in Cache Valley from, that shininess on top of there. So,
but we'll have Keith Schertz on top of the second hour for this. And again, we'll talk about the NBA. Wanted to talk about whether or not the NBA landscape has truly changed. I know JD has already got his Luka jersey in the mail.
I'm more excited about Mark Williams.
He's a good pickup. Not Walker Kessler, but he's all right.
It was on my Christmas list, and Santa gave me coal.
Yeah, basically. So I got to keep Walker Kessler, and the Jazz did nothing else except trade for second-round picks. Although we had a couple texts come in dealing with something that happened yesterday, and JD, I found out because you texted me. I didn't see the news until you sent me this, but Utah State President President Cantwell is leaving for Washington State. The Aggies can't even keep their president from getting poached by other schools.
Yeah, I know, and I know there's a lot of debate on it and everything right now, but Wazoo's a great school. A lot of familiarity with them. I've been there several times in Pullman for games. I've watched my team over there win in Pullman and also lose in Pullman. It's a great environment. With the expansion of Utah State getting into like the veterinarian school up there and some of the things, Wazoo's a very good kind of comparison to Utah State, and adding the veterinarian school and stuff up there will get it even closer. But I mean, look, they're in the Pac-12 right now, and we're still in the Mountain West. So it is a change, and it's not what we were expecting. I was only hoping to deal with one new president this year, but now I got to deal with two. If I got to deal with three new presidents this year, I'm out.
Yeah, it's could be crazy. So we had a couple of texts. One from 2444 saying the news about President Cantwell yesterday was unexpected. The move to the Pac-12 was certainly a major accomplishment, though I can't say that I'm overly concerned or sad about her departure. I am curious, though, do you guys anticipate that she will try to bring Sabo or any other USU faculty with her? Yeah, as far as the sports side of, how Cantwell's departure, like how could that impact the sports side of things? I think it'll be pretty minimal, largely because I don't think she's going to be taking Sabo with Cole, because they already have an AD. And
they just hired an AD.
Yeah.
It was like 6 to 12 months ago. It wasn't that long ago that Washington State got a new AD. And it's really kind of a day and night comparison. If you look at it from the Aggie side, you've got kind of responses all over. You've got a group that's very, very happy and thinks this is the greatest thing ever. You got a group that's appreciative to everything that's done. And then you got a group that's like, again, we got to keep dealing with changes. We're going to have to deal with abandonment issues here in the Aggie fan base. But thinking about this, I don't think this is a bad thing. I don't think it's another thing to help shape the future. President Cantwell was here, hired Sabo as the AD. We got Coach Calhoun. We got Bronco Mendenhall. We got Coach Wesley Brooks. It's been a pretty good turnaround on the sports side. And I kind of had a great conversation with Jason last night, because he's the one who keeps me from getting the crazy tattoo ideas and all that stuff. The next tattoo I'm thinking is like a Carson Templin piece on my back. Like do like a Karate Kid inspired thing. But anyway, just know that, there's a plan going on and it's going to move forward. The people on the Wazoo side are extremely excited. Like the fan base for Washington State is over the moon that they were able to get President Cantwell. They list her accomplishments and everything going through. It's just kind of a night and day comparison. One fan base thankful and has a couple other smatterings to fan base the incoming. They're really excited to have her. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting to see how this will all play out again, and hopefully a new president soon.
Sorry, we're having some issues. Maybe having some issues. I don't know. We may need to do a roll call on the text line. There's people trying to tell us about issues with maybe issues with the app or with being on a different station. I know we've had some technical difficulties.
9315, if you can hear my voice.
Well, 9315 kind of responded to one of ours, like talking about, we were talking about conspiracy theories. That's why I was thinking, like, at least we're probably on the app. Well, sometimes I'll be sitting in here like to test the app, and I'll pull up the app on my phone, like put it to my ear, try not to double back. So yeah, maybe get a bit of a roll call here. I did send some text to make sure that things are okay.
That things are okay. We could actually talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, then nobody can hear us.
Yeah, the horizontal rain outside this morning was insane. Like, it came in bands, and so who knows? Oh, we got it. 5452.
Okay, so we're at least on our station. I can't say if we're hijacking another station.
And we've got a live stream on the app working for me. All right,
okay,
cool.
So we're good there. We've had some issues where like it redirects to the wrong streams and whatnot. So looks like we're good right now. But yeah, with the thing with President Cantwell, yeah, like I think people give a little too much credit for like what presidents and ADs do. Because I don't think it's going to be that big. Like, what's the biggest difference between, one president to another? Maybe I'm just not smart enough to know, but like,
well, I think what our conversation got me on track is that the president of the university is not like you and me and 99% of the Aggie family when we're like, we've got priorities. We need Coach Calhoun on a lifetime contract. And then if any of Coach Calhoun's kiddos decide to coach, we need them locked in too right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way NIL's going. High school kids are getting NIL. We need to think about the future. But they've got so much more to worry about. They've got so much more on the spectrum to go. And so that's why I think it's going to be, setting it up kind of a little bit that there's going to be some dissension among people who didn't like President Cantwell. That's, you're always going to have that. But I think this is it's an unexpected move. You don't really want to, but, onward and upward, the next person coming in. And now you're looking at this job as the president of a university that is transitioning to the Pac-12, a bigger network, a bigger media payday, bigger prestige. So it's going to be a coveted job. I mean, unless something weird happens.
Well, you still got the DOJ kind of hanging around, and that may have been what drove President Cantwell to be a little more open to leaving, is this whole mess that she basically walked into. Of course, she knew a little bit of what she was getting into, but like I feel like it got worse when she, not necessarily because of what she did, but like it got worse after she got here. Kind of like Diana Sabo just walked into a landmine with the Blake Anderson situation.
I mean, look at it from this way. It's coming in and I don't want to disrespect anybody, but Washington State, in my opinion, is probably a little bit higher up there on the prestige of universities around. They were in the Pac-12 for many years. Wazoo has a huge following, huge, campus, that set. So I think this is a step up for her. But it's, we as countries, I'm going to get thrown at a rocket or something for this. We as a country change presidents every 4 years or every 8 years, depending on the election. And we have that peaceful transition of power. If our government can do it, surely Utah State's going to be able to do it.
And
they're all going to have
a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like, I don't think a whole lot is going to change with the transition of president.
Some people mentioned maybe the pending lawsuits or the stuff, it's getting too hot and things, and that's why she hit the eject button. Haven't we kind of weathered all of it? I mean, we've got some of the final decisions of the lawsuits, but I'm just going to say I see their settlements, and I don't think they're going to be as big as settlements as people believe they're going to be, if at all, unless the university decides to go bootstraps and fight. But why hit the eject button now? Maybe it's just a job she coveted more, and it's to move on and move up.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. It could be tied to the whole Blake Anderson saga. And it's also the fact that, she certainly feels like she's going to be moving up. And that's and I think she has ties with, I thought somebody said one of her kids went there or something like that.
Also, there's a large Cantwell presence in the state of Washington in the political parties and power and stuff. So I don't know if that matches. And they resonate from back in the Midwest. And I know that's where President Cantwell comes. So that's one thing I was trying to confirm before I came on the air, but couldn't find any hard details.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's never really one singular thing that leads to this. It's usually a group of things.
Although if Wazoo called and said, hey, President Cantwell will triple your salary, I mean, come on.
It'd be hard to say no.
Yeah, they had to pay her so much more because I'll say this. Pullman, even on its best day, is not even close to where we live here in Cache Valley.
It's a pretty nice place to live.
Yeah.
But let's shift on over. Thanks again to those helping us with the roll call there, 8968, also texting in. But let's get to the meat of the matter here with today's show, and that is Utah State going up against Fresno State. It is a rematch of a game back on January 4th, I believe, so a little over a month ago. Give or take a day. I may have slightly misremembered the date. Game the Aggies won 89-83 at home. This is one where they trailed by, I think, 17 points in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get the right. Yeah, 17 points. So 7:43 to go in the first half. The Aggies trailed 32-15. So they were having a rough time in this game. They were shooting poorly, and they'd given up an 11-0 run to Fresno State. Early in the game, they were hitting three-pointers. Like they hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 three-pointers in the first 10 minutes of the game. And they were also getting to the paint. They were basically just picking apart Utah State's zone defense. They were finding tons of success. But then, I mean, over the rest of the game, the Aggies outscored Fresno State by, what would it be? 23 points or something like that over the final, half hour of the game, essentially.
I remember that one. That was the Carson Templin coming out party. He had a big game that day.
18 points, 10 rebounds, which I believe is still his only career double-double. He's been close a bunch of other times, but I think it was a career high in rebounds and either career high or close to it in points. Played 25 minutes, which I think is some of the most minutes he's played all year. And he was even in foul trouble for part of it. So probably would have played a little bit more had he not picked up. He had like his fourth foul with like 8 minutes to go, sat for a minute, then came back in at the end. So Carson Templin was huge. So he had 18. Abin Gadarazzi actually had a decent game with 8 points, went 4 of 4. Drake Allen, I think he was coming back from, wasn't that after he got injured in like late December? Yeah, because he got injured in the UC San Diego game, which was late December. And this was kind of getting back. Drake Allen had 11 points, 11 assists. 11 points, 11 assists. So he had a really big game. He was plus 31. The Aggies outscored Fresno State by 31 points when he was on the court.
Low-key,
in a 6-point game.
Yeah, Drake, when he is on defense, have you seen some of the swats he's gotten this year? The blocks, like he chases them down from behind?
There was one because I think we were watching the Wyoming game, and there was one that was like crazy. I knew it was coming because I'd seen it on the StatCast.
He literally, like a little drama here, folks. He ran the length of a football field while the guy was posting up, and just the guy shot a three and he got it.
Yeah, but there was one of those in the. I was rewatching the game today, and he did it in the Fresno game as well.
And we also against New Mexico here, if that game would have hopefully gone the other way. He had a big block. He also had one against him on the other end that was kind of a momentum changer, but he has that sneaky ability and he's never giving up on a play. A lot of those blocks come from behind and then it turns into quick, easy points for the Aggies to run down the other. So I think Drake has been magnificent. Watching him against UNLV here in the Spectrum a couple weeks ago, the time's just kind of mending together. I was really impressed watching him and Ian and their body language and how they defend, how they watch the eyes, how they watch the body, and they bounce. It is something on another level to watch, and we have seen Drake continually move up, and he's been balling out there and coming off the bench in that role. I wonder if we'll see him step back into the starting lineup. It's one of those things when you're 20-3, do you really mess with the combination? But I think more of the, for me, more of the critical point are those two up front, the 4 and 5 spot. Who gets the minutes there? Of course, I didn't think we'd see Tucker last game because we have had some nasty ankle rolls the last couple of weeks. It's just been bad, but thankfully everybody's coming back. But Aubin, a little bit struggling the last couple of games to put things together on stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, but I do not like the line from Vegas at all. It's been growing. I saw it this morning. It was, I think, at 10.5. Now it's at 12.5. It just keeps moving for me. And I feel like this is going to be another 5-point game for our Aggies. Yeah.
And I think the big thing behind that is Utah State, I think, will once again struggle to defend Fresno State. I think in a similar vein to how they struggled to defend UNLV, because I think there's just some matchup issues with the way Fresno State goes about their offense and how it seems to work pretty well against the Aggies' zone defense. I mean, the Aggies did throw a man defense. When I was watching, they kind of went to man for a second at the end of the first half. At least I think it was for most of that. I was paying attention to some other things, but they went to man for a little bit. at the end of the second half. And it was actually at the end of the second half, they went on like a 12-2 run because they closed it from like 40-27 to like 42-39 in like the final 2 minutes. Like the Aggies went on a complete roll, shutting down Fresno State for a couple of possessions. And then, they got hot on offense, which doesn't really have much to do with whether they're playing zone or man. So I think this is going to be a game that'll really test Jared Calhoun and, the adjustments that he and his staff can make, because they got picked apart on defense in a lot of ways. And they're going to have to fix that. Like Fresno State found a lot of ways to get their guys in the middle of the floor, get guys with size into the key, and get clean looks, or at least clean catches in the middle of the paint, and then they would go to the basket. For instance, Alex Crawford, he had 26 points off the bench. He'll probably be starting today. He's went from a bench guy to becoming a full-time starter, basically a couple of games after scoring 26 against the Aggies. He scored 26 against the Aggies, 21 in the next game, and he's been a starter ever since. So he'll be starting tonight. He's going to play 30-plus minutes. And he went 10 of 13, didn't attempt a three-pointer. Like, he's not going to attempt a ton of three-pointers. He'll shoot one every now and again. But he went 10 of 13. He shot 9 free throws. He was a problem for the Aggies. Partly because he's 6'7". He's like a small forward, power forward, and he just has a little too much length and a little too much speed for the Aggies to handle, because Carson struggled to keep up with him speed-wise, and Dexter struggled to handle him in terms of length. So, and it's similar to like Jalen Hill for UNLV and some other, there have been other bigs that the Aggies have faced, not necessarily at the 5, but also at small forward and power forward.
Do you think it's a possibility we see a little Isaac Davis out there mixed in? Because, I was impressed with when he came into the UNLV game for 1 minute and 1 foul. I believe it was to send a message on setting a screen, and he set the screen, and it was like the boat hit the Statue of Liberty and just bounced off. So I wonder about that. But also, this guy's stats, Crawford, his best game was against us. And he's had a couple of 20s since then, but the last 3 games since the 28th of January, Wyoming, Boise, and San Jose State, he's done 9, 15, and 6 points. He's struggled from the field a little bit. 33% against Boise, he was at 66%, but 18% against the loss for San Jose State. So, and that one went into double overtime. So maybe we can get him with the yips a little bit. But yeah, you're right. His best game of the season came against the Aggies. I've got to believe Coach has studied that film and looked at how Crawford and how they can, combat him in the paint, because that is nasty. Like 10 for 13, shooting 76%. I mean, and just insane. He does have a little bit of presence on the boards, but haven't seen him really going for that much in the last couple of games. So it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, he's not a huge rebounding threat. This is a guy, he's a 6'7", sub 200-pound wing.
They say 215, but
do they? I think I saw one.
Well, I think that 215 is very generous. Looking at some of the pictures.
I might have been looking at the wrong guy when I saw that, but he's not really bulky. Like, he's a small forward / kind of power forward, because he weighs about as much as Mason Falslev does. So this isn't this guy who's beating the Aggies with power. It's a combination of length, athleticism, and a little bit of touch around the rim. That's where he's kind of, and it's why I compared him to Jalen Hill on UNLV, as opposed to comparing him directly to there's one of San Jose State's bigs that caused some issues, or comparing him to John Cherry on UNLV, or Nelly Joseph. Like, he's not that type of player. He's the kind of guy they send him to the middle of the court, catch the ball, and then he's 6'7". It's easy for him to kind of go to the rim, or he does a little back cut, catching the zone off guard, catching a couple of guys sleeping on the backside of the play. And he just shot layups the whole time. Like, he's not going to shoot jump shots. He's just going to shoot layups because he'll get open spots to the lane. So for the Aggies, it's making those shots more difficult. That's where San Jose, he shoots 15, 16 shots in that game, makes 3 of them. Like, they made those shots more difficult. And also, maybe for the Aggies, it's not so much defending him when he has the ball, it's denying him the catch to begin with, or right when he catches it, get your hands in there. Like, some of the most effective possessions I saw when the Aggies were defending him was sure, he'd catch the ball in the middle of the court, but like Mason Falstaff was poking the ball out of his hands as soon as he got it, or he had Carson Templin like right up there in his grill with two hands, forcing to pass the ball away. Like, it's not so much finding a guy to go mano-a-mano with him in the post, because if you're doing that, you've probably already lost, because he's already established that position. So they got to find ways to be more effective with their defense, especially in the paint with guys cutting in and out of the paint. Because Fresno State had a really good game plan for the Aggies last time out. They need to make sure they're prepared for I'm not going to say it's going to be the same thing, because Fresno State's going to try and adjust, because they're going to try and stay ahead of the curve. But Jared Calhoun's got to out-coach Vance Wahlberg, where he was out-coached to some degree in the last game.
Yeah, but even being out-coached, still picked up the
got the dub. And like in the second half, his offense, the Aggies scored 50 points in the second half. They were able to adjust enough, play good enough defense. Fresno State made 5 3-pointers in the first 10 minutes. They made 2 the rest of the game. So there were some positive adjustments. But overall, I think the Aggies need to find a way to defend a Fresno State team they don't match up super well against in terms of Fresno State's offense versus the Aggies defense. We got to take a break. We're a little overdue. We'll keep this discussion going with Utah State basketball. Coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Love is in the air this Valentine's Day with a special evening waiting for you at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Morgan Adald here, inviting you to a special Valentine's buffet with music by Wildflower the Band. Come enjoy a delicious selection of prime rib, blackened salmon, tempura shrimp, ribs, and much more. And is it even Valentine's without dessert? Enjoy an endless display of chocolate decadence, delicious cheesecakes, and chocolate-covered strawberries. Nothing says I love you like dinner, dessert, and dancing. Reserve your Valentine's Day today. Visit theriverwoods.com. That's theriverwoods.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. This is a story that came to us from a real customer, and I wanted to share it with you.
I'm a new CPAP user. The only thing I knew about CPAP when I walked in the door was that I didn't want to wear one. The introductory class with the respiratory therapist at Alpine was great. I left feeling confident and less intimidated by the whole process.
We love hearing about your experiences. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. This one's for the guys. Girls, you can plug your ears for just a minute. Guys, Valentine's Day is a minute away. Here's the plan. Buy tickets to the dinner and a show at Lionheart Hall that we've got going on right now, and buy a mattress at My Mattress. I'll say that again. Buy tickets to the dinner and show at lionhearthall.com and have a brand new mattress from My Mattress delivered to your house for Valentine's Day. I gotcha. Only at My Mattress and lionhearthall.com.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome on back to the Full Court Press. Feel free to join the show via the Young Power Sports text line. 8968, sending another text saying, I read an article today that asked the question, will mid-major schools be out of the NCAA tournament as at-large teams? He also stated how the Mountain West was down this year. So like the article is saying like there wouldn't be any at-large teams from the mid-major? Like, because I think with the Mountain West being a little down, like I know there was one article on ESPN, maybe it's the same one. I didn't read it. But it had some clickbait headline about, the SEC apparently getting a bunch of teams in by their projections. It was like the SEC is getting how many teams in? And I was like, yeah, I see clickbait when I know clickbait when I see it, and so I decided not to click on it.
See, there's some wisdom in that. There's some places that you just should avoid sometimes. Clickbait, message boards. Eric taught me a lesson very early here
to avoid some places
stay away from the message boards.
Well, clickbait is just like, because there's a lot of articles I don't read from certain outlets down south that because they've really taken a nosedive into the clickbait world.
Oh yeah, to try to get behind the subscription and all that.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of articles that I just deliberately don't click on because that's a clickbait title, and I refuse to have like I'll have headlines that are a little. It's meant to trying to draw you in with the headline, but like it's still a fairly generic. Like I write generic headlines, and most of the headlines you see in my articles, I'm usually the one writing them. Every now and again, Eric will fix it if there's something broken, but
well, it'd be like the news headline: Coach Calhoun chooses a new home, and then the article's about him and his family shopping for a new home in Cache Valley. That's the kind of.
Well, it's mostly this player is doing this, or this player is, what this player said about this. And it's like, you can put a quote in the headline. And I guess it's because you're trying to get them to click on the article, because otherwise they'll read the headline and move on. But, well, I'm just going to look at your clickbait headline and move on anyway as a protest.
Yeah, there's got to be some substance in the headline. You can't try to hyperbole me anymore. Those were my 20s, maybe my early 30s. Now I'm in my 40s, and I'm on my front porch and telling you clickbait ads to get off my lawn.
So wanted to jump back into this Utah State versus Fresno State, and I kind of went on my rant about Alex Crawford being maybe the most dangerous player for Fresno State. Obviously not the only one. I think there's others that you got to pay attention to. Elijah Price, he's a 6'9" freshman, although he actually fouled out. Like he was in foul trouble the whole day. Like he couldn't handle Carson Templin or Dexter Acano. Just struggled against the Aggies. But, Jalen Weaver, Jazeer Tremble, if I'm saying his name right, those guys combined for 6 of the 7 3-pointers. I forget which one. It was either Weaver or Tremble hit like 2 early 3-pointers. Well, I can just look at the play-by-play. I have it in front of me. Yeah, Tremble, like their best 3-point shooter, took the first 2 shots of the game for Fresno State, and he drained 2 corner 3-pointers. And that really helped Fresno State kind of establish an early lead, which kind of eventually built into the 17-point lead. So, maybe don't let him get 2 wide-open 3-pointers in the corner in the first 2 minutes of the game, no matter whatever happens. So that's definitely a guy to be watching out for. And just overall, the nature of Fresno State, where they're basically playing 4 guards. Like Alex Crawford at 6'7" was playing center for a good chunk of that game. They were going pretty small. Like imagine Utah State having Dexter Acano or Tucker Anderson play the 5. Like that was almost an equivalent, although maybe slightly closer to Carson Templin playing center, but he's kind of built like a center. Alex Crawford's more of a small forward playing center. So, and this is why I say Fresno State has an offense that matches up well against the Aggies, is because the speed that they play with, and the 5-out nature of it, and they just find ways to back cut. They find ways to slip past the first line of defense in the zone, and they just catch the Aggies sleeping a little too often. So Utah State needs to be on its toes for this game.
The line on that one, the Aggies were 23.5-point favorites. And it turned out to be a 5-point difference. We've seen the last couple of games where the Aggies are favored by double digits in some places, and it goes close. Talk about Stockton with this on the Aggie Game Day. I have still yet to see a complete Aggie performance from start to finish to execute all the way through.
Yeah, not since November, December.
And I don't even know if we can count those, because those were with Clown Car, Mississippi State or something like that. Like it was, Steve McNair University. Sorry, Alcorn State. But I want to see the game, and I'm Captain Optimism here. Like every game I've picked us to win, and that'll be the continuing trend, because I want to see these guys do well and exceed on the court and off the court.
Well, and they're good enough that they pretty much every game they've gone into at this point, like maybe barring St. Mary's, is a game that we've been able to say they probably should win this one, or very strongly can win this one. And that's the mark of how good the Aggies are.
Yeah, and they should win this one. They should win this one by 10 points.
Yeah, they should win it by 10
points. It should
be
handled easy. But Aggie fans who have caused the sales of AED and heart monitors to go up since the tip-off of the basketball season here in Cache Valley, we know that these cardiac kids keep us close. At halftime, I like to post the it's fine with the pup in the middle of the burning fire, because it is fine. Usually Coach Calhoun adjusts. There has only been one game that the adjustments I don't think worked out, and that was the New Mexico game that kind of got away from us. But I haven't seen that game yet, and I'm really apprehensive. I think this one's going to be another close one. The Aggies can't take it for granted. They are on the road, and they tend to put it together a little bit better at halftime adjustments, coming out and doing things. And on game day and Aggie call, the big debate is whether the gym should be absolutely quiet during the Aggie shooting free throws or not. So that's
the one where the people yell like "get in the hole" or whatever.
Oh, do you remember that?
They've been doing that for like a year and a half now, and most people don't like it, but some people think they're cool when they yell out random things during those moments.
I told them on Aggie call over there in KVNU, I said, I was sitting behind you and that guy during the game, UNLV game, like our guy's shooting it and he yells and the whole student section's necks just snapped and like.
Oh, well, that's a bunch of people on the road that are yelling.
Yeah, well, it was one of the herd that yelled. Oh, and like everybody snapped towards him, and I was like, "Oh, this I know speaking out of turn here." So yeah,
well, it's the same kind of people that when you go to a golf tournament, like somebody hits their tee shot, and right after they yelled something stupid, it's like,
"No, it's your home." Yeah,
or just some it can be the most random phrase. They'll yell I like salami sandwich or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's like, do you really think you're cool? Like, because they say that because like they're yelling because everyone's quiet, and then right after, and they can get their voice on TV, but. It's kind of that frat boy behavior. It's like you think you're cool, but then 5 years later when you've actually matured, you realize you're an idiot.
Yeah, that could be the advice given to everybody at the waste management tournament down in Phoenix or down in Arizona. It turns into like a giant frat party out there. So I could see some of that, but it's kind of funny when people do that. But free throw shooting is going to be an interesting one. Here's my didgeridoo for the Aggies. 45% from the field. That's a little bit better than I thought it was in the first half. Going in down by 5 to Wyoming just the other day. But I think this needs to improve for the Aggies to win comfortably and actually match that 10-point spread. They've got to shoot better than 26% from the line, and that includes showing up or 15% from the line. I'm sorry. They've got to do much better than that, and that's going to fall on Mason, and that's going to fall on Ian. Those two guys, nobody made a three-point shot against Wyoming except for Isaac Johnson and Drake Allen. Everybody else was 0-for. So Ian and Mason need to jump back on that bandwagon and get it fixed. It seems like Mason's been game planned for now more as we're moving through. So we're I think we'll see. He's still putting up amazing numbers. Like, it's not the big points we saw, but when I look at the 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, that's the hustle stats for me. So I see if those guys can get better, we've got to shoot better than 15% from 3-point land. And I think that's going to be the key to this game, to how it is. And props to Ian last game when he wasn't feeling it from outside. Started cutting to the hoop, started going to the hoop, got to the free throw line, 9 for 9. And perfect free throws is not something we're used to dealing with here. Yeah,
he's kind of one of the few guys that can kind of pull it off because I think he's gotten back close to 90%. But yeah, I think with 3-point shooting, like, they don't need to have like a crazy game from 3, but like if they shoot like they did in the last game against Fresno State, they were 9 of 26, it's 34%. Is it great? Is it bad? No, it's solid. It's something that you can work with. If the Aggies shoot that, they'll probably be fine. But that did include guys like Ian Martinez hitting 3 3-pointers. Mason hit a couple. So, like, you got to get something from the 3-point line and then hit enough of your free throws. They shot 66%, almost 67% on threes, or on free throws, excuse me. Last time against Fresno State, you'd prefer that to be a little bit higher. But I think if the Aggies have about as good of an offensive game, at least efficiency-wise, they should be fine. I mean, heck, they scored 89 points. If they scored 89 points again in this one, they're probably going to win. I have a hard time seeing the Aggies giving up 90-plus, even with a bit of a bad defensive matchup.
And wasn't that kind of the time where Coach was working on it? And I've heard Coach Calhoun talk about, we got to hold them if we hold them in the 60s, we're going to win. Like, that's if we hold them in a team to 60 points or 50 under 70 or under 60 points, we're going to win.
Yeah, and if they do that to Fresno State, though, because I don't think they have a ton of problems offensively against Fresno State. Their offense versus Fresno's defense, you've got guys like Carson and Aubin, like they were finding, like the Aggies had 44 points in the paint, and I would expect something similar. Like Fresno State does not have the size and a lot of the main things to keep up with the Aggies in the paint. I'd compare it in a lot of ways to Air Force, where Utah State could just kind of impose their will inside the paint. And so I think they're going to be able to do that again. And so as long as they can complement some of that with some outside shooting and decent enough free throws, because they're probably going to get fouled a decent amount, then I think they'll be fine offensively in this game. It's just going to come down to, do you let Fresno State score 42 points in the first half, 41 points in the second half? Like, you're going to allow that. That's the biggest thing, because you can't let Fresno State get a bunch of easy buckets and be efficient, because this is a team that has, for the season, been pretty inefficient. And so you can't give them easy ones and let them build their confidence.
Yeah, this is a Fresno State Bulldogs team that is hold on, let me make sure I'm pulling up the right one here. 5-18, so 10th of the Mountain West. Not world beaters there in Fresno State, but
they've got one win in Mountain West play, and that's against Air Force.
Yeah, maybe you can, and I don't even know if we can qualify that as a full win. I think that's like a .75. I think it's like a sack or something. We designate wins
basically
a little bit. Can you help me here and drop some group therapy on me, Dr. Walker? Do the Aggies play to their opponent's level?
A little bit at times. Like, I think the evidence is pretty well out there where they've close against Wyoming twice, close against UNLV twice, a little too close against UNLV, but playing up to teams like St. Mary's, Iowa, at San Diego State. Obviously there's some outliers because, they beat the tar out of Nevada. They had the one game where they didn't play up to New Mexico, got beat there. But generally speaking, I think you're seeing that a little too often where they're playing down to the competition. And I think some of that is just energy in fatigue. Because early in the season, they were not playing down to the teams early in their schedule. They were running them out of the building.
Yeah.
But when this team is focused and, outputting the energy level they need to, then that's the team that'll beat Fresno by 20. But sometimes it's just a question of, are you going to see that team?
We had the UNLV loss at UNLV by 3. And then we brought out the whooping stick against Nevada and Air Force. Nevada at home, Air Force on the road. But then a real close one to UNLV, and then that got gassed against New Mexico, and then a 5-point or 4-point win over Wyoming. I'm really hoping that conditioning and gas is not an issue towards the season.
Yeah, but I think a bigger part of those two, close against Wyoming and losing bad to New Mexico, a big part of that was just an uncharacteristically bad set of 3-point shooting games, which those are going to happen. You're going to have those kind of games, and the Aggies were just unlucky that it happened at that time.
What do we call it if it's 3 games in a row, though? Do we need to go get inoculated? Do we need to,
It's just a really bad, because they had a 3-game stretch where they shot 60%, so it's just law of averages playing out,
so you're telling me if the Aggies shoot 15% from the 3-point line tonight, I don't have to do any sort of animal sacrifice in the back to satisfy the basketball gods? I don't have to call Coach Naismith and Coach Wooden from the other side?
Probably not. Well, those two would probably just tell you not to shoot 3-pointers. Naismith would ask you what a 3-pointer is.
I think he stays in tune up there. I think he's got the league pass and he's got all the subscriptions for college and prep basketball.
I don't know if he'd want to watch NBA these days. We do need to take a break. We're a little overdue, so we'll be back after this here on the Full Court Press.
Has a farm and appliance farm.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Are you ready for some early spring cleaning? This month only, save $20 on your dryer vent cleaning. Protect your home from a potential fire today. Don't forget, we also offer free 2-year warranties on all our scratch and dent appliances. Call Daryl's, the only appliance store that handles it all. Experience Daryl's difference. Daryl's Appliance West on Airport Road.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Every question is a great question at Adams Wealth Advisors. Do we have enough money for retirement? Can we finally plan that trip?
With the ups and downs of the economy, our portfolio is recession-proof.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today.
This is Kyle at Advanced Door, and we guarantee every garage door we install for a lifetime, parts and labor. That's every door, every spring, every roller, every track, every motor. The entire garage door system guaranteed for a lifetime, parts and labor. We're Advanced Door, and we guarantee you'll be hearing this for a long time. Find out more at advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Feel free to text the Young Power Sports text line, 435-339-0321. Jason Walker, J.D. Walker here with you. I get to hear J.D.'s voice on KVNU later today, around about 7 o'clock, as they'll pregame Utah State going up against Fresno. That's been the topic of conversation so far here on The Fan for this first hour. And, yeah, just a lot of things that just pointing out areas of potential concern. But this is a team that I think the Aggies should be beating by somewhere between 6 and 15 points. Anything on either end of that would be a surprise for me. More of a surprise if it's like 15 plus, because that means the Aggies just pretty much had a complete game on the road, though not like completely shocking. Wouldn't be the craziest thing for the Aggies to play good basketball. We've seen a lot of that this season. But I know we've talked about areas of weakness, but I think I want to point out areas where I think the Aggies are going to be strong. I think one of them is in rebounding. And it was weird, like when I was watching the game and then I looked at the numbers. And I felt like the Aggies, when I was rewatching the game, were dominating on the boards pretty well. And so I'm watching that in the game, and then I go back and look at the numbers, and the Aggies were out-rebounded by 5. And I was like, I don't know. It felt like the Aggies were doing okay. Like, they're getting on, we got 10 offensive rebounds. Carson, had his career high in rebounds. He was yanking them down all the time. Like, it felt like they couldn't handle Carson Templin. Like, he had 4 offensive rebounds himself. But I think just toward the end of the game, maybe they just kind of got a little sloppy on the boards. So it felt like a game where what I was seeing on film wasn't matching up with what I eventually looked back on in the box score. So it was a weird thing there, but I think the Aggies will be fine on the glass. I think that's one area where they can really go out and maybe dominate in some ways, where they get some of their offensive rebounds.
Any concern from the Wyoming game to this game on Fresno State where you saw the Aggies, I'm going to assume, put up a season-low 8 assists?
That's how many assists they had with Wyoming?
Yeah, Wyoming. I think the Aggies only put up 8.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Like, the Aggies have more 20-plus assist games than they have single-digit.
Really just stood out as an outlier there.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is how many three-pointers they took, where that's, like, a lot of your assists are going to be on three-pointers because that's catch and shoot. Yeah. A lot of other shots aren't necessarily catch and shoot, like a drive to the basket. Whether or not you get an assist can be a little iffy there. Offensive rebounds, putbacks, like your three-pointers, if you don't make a whole lot of three-pointers, you're not going to have a whole lot of assists. Because these days, that's where most people are getting their assists. So that one doesn't really worry me at all. As long as the Aggies shoot well enough from 3, they're going to have enough offense. But then I think in this game, like, they have some bigs in size that I think can cause some problems. Like, again, Carson and Aubin. Like, I think they can go out there and cause some problems.
I think, Aubin's Auburn, I think Auburn's got to be a little motivated. You know, Coach Calhoun in his post-game thoughts after the last win in Wyoming flat out said Auburn was gassed by the elevation.
Yeah.
So
can be a lot closer to sea level at this point.
in Fresno, and so he should have a big game. Could see another big game from Carson. And Carson seems like the guy to disrupt Crawford. I mean, it really does. And since this Fresno State game, I think we've seen the development of Carson in his game. We've also seen teams game plan for him a little bit more. But he also has that motor that he can take out. And so I think Auburn's going to be motivated to have a big game. And even when Auburn doesn't put it up on the point side, he's still making rebounds. And he had a game where he had a couple blocked shots. In the loss to the Lobos, Carson had 3 block shots in the first half. I mean, very active shot blockers there for the Aggies, and I think that's going to cause a problem for the Bulldogs tonight.
Yeah, I think the Aggies should have a big advantage with size there. We need to take another break, and we'll finish up the first hour next here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Hi, this is Robbie with LSS Insurance. If you're about to turn 65, the Medicare phone calls, mailers, and emails can be unreal. Out-of-market telemarketers simply do not understand Utah, Idaho, or your individual situation. We have real answers and real solutions with local help. At LSS Insurance, we are your health insurance specialists. Call us 752-9493. Having local help makes all the difference, and there's no cost to you. Call 752-9493 or visit lssins.com.
Need a reliable partner for your medical needs? Look no further than Triton Medical and Transportation. We offer top quality medical soft goods right here in your community. From incontinence supplies and oxygen needs to medical transportation. Whatever you need to stay comfortable and healthy, we've got you covered. Trust Triton Medical and Transportation, caring for our community with every step, every mile. Call us today at 435-557-6687 or visit us online at mytritonsupply.com. Triton Medical and Transportation, because your health matters.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
Now here's a concept. You earmark 1/3 of your profits to go back into the community, to local charities. Dex Imaging does that. My name is Anthony Wagoner, and I'd like to share with you what I know about Dex, the company that acquired Valley Office Systems. Dex Imaging is committed to continuing quality customer service while raising the bar to become a strong community partner. Join us in creating the brightest image for tomorrow. Contact us at deximaging.com.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Winter and cold temperatures can cause problems with diesel. Make sure you get all the best diesel fuel additives. They're in stock at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts. They got brands like Standard Iron, Howes, Power Service. Also, ice on your windshield can rip up your wiper blades. Make sure to upgrade your blades with Trico, Rain-X, or Bosch. You can find all this at more, including 50-pound bags of Blue Heat Ice Melt, which may or may not come in handy the rest of this winter season. But get all that at your locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts locations. So finishing up the first hour here, wanted to give a quick shout out. Utah State softball playing hard this weekend. Now, yesterday they had a double, you call it double, they played 2 games. Villanova and number 7 Texas A&M. They lost 7-4 to Villanova, and they lost what ended up being like 11-5 to Texas A&M, which really kind of understates how well Utah State actually played against the number 7 team in the country. They led 5-4.
Yeah, they were really close.
In the bottom of the 6th inning, 7-inning games in college, at least college softball. And yeah, they were leading that game late. Unfortunately, bottom of the 6th did not treat the Aggies very well. They could not, get up and down there. nearly got to 2 outs. There was a pitch that was pretty close to the zone that would have been a strikeout, but didn't get it. And then they just started. There was like 3 straight homers, I think. But so it didn't go well there, but hard fought. But today, they got their first win of the season. They'll have 2 more. They've got this 5-game stretch they're playing in Texas, because when you start a season this early and your home base is Utah. Of course, right now you could probably play softball, to be honest. Ground might be a little
70 degrees on Tuesday.
Yeah, ground might be a little hard at times because maybe it's a little cold, but it's not crazy. But yeah, they got their first win. They played Abilene Christian today. It had a monster. Was it the 5th inning? No, the 6th. Oh no, I clicked on the wrong box score somehow. Yeah, it was the 5th inning. Top of the 5th, they score 8 runs. It was their turn to have a massive inning because they were actually trailing 3-0 to the Wildcats. But they get the 8-run 5th inning, added another in the top of the 7th. They come away with a 9-3 victory over Abilene Christian.
And let's talk about the freshman Erickson, 3 for 4 with a grand salami. Like that I think I scared Will and Craig this morning. I was watching the broadcast on Live Stats and just about jumped out of my seat because I love all sports, but baseball and softball, I grew up around Little League and softball fields and stuff. So it's awesome seeing the Aggie ladies pick up the first win of the season.
Yeah, and so we'll keep an eye because I think their performance this week, obviously they're still 1-2, and they've got a couple more games. They're playing number 18 Baylor, and then they finish off the weekend at Purdue. That'll be a team to keep an eye on. That's going to do it for us in the first hour. We got Keith Schertz coming up next. We're going to talk Utah Hockey Club.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Some games are just games in the NFL. Others define legacies. Super Bowl 59, it feels a whole lot bigger. The Chiefs and Eagles are about to run it back, a rematch from that showdown a couple of years ago, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For Patrick Mahomes, it's a chance for a three-peat. Chasing a 3rd ring, nobody else has ever done that. And for Jalen Hurts, it's about unfinished business. A shot at redemption after coming up short just 2 years ago. But here's the wrinkle. This isn't the same Eagles team. This time, Philly brings in a battle-tested defense, a more refined Hurts, and a roster that's been stewing over that last Super Bowl loss 24 months ago. Meanwhile, Kansas City, now a dynasty in the making, has adapted, evolved, and still has the most dangerous player on the planet. Legends are born in moments like these. For Patrick Mahomes, it's about a dynasty. For Hurts, it's about redemption. One team walks away with the ring on Sunday. The other walks away haunted. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.